Dave, it's time to talk Halo, the TV series, not the video game, which premiered on Paramount Plus this past week. Um, hmm,
The missions change, Pat. They always do. And in that's a quote from Halo Infinite. However, this Halo series, the mission did change too. Of course, conceived as a Xbox original when Xbox was originally going to make their own streaming content. Then, of course, a Showtime series before Showtime and Paramount Plus did a trade, and this now lives on Paramount Plus. Two showrunners made this series. They're gone. Season two, they're making with a third showrunner. The missions change, baby, but the chief has finally come to live action. And how did you feel about that?
I thought it was okay. like, I didn't leave the premiere of this being like, man, this is gonna be like the next Mandalorian or like maybe something grittier. Like I don't know if Battlestar Galactica you would say is grittier, but like it's
Mm,
not gonna be like that like expansive like space adventure type thing.
sure.
But there were some moments where I was like, that was pretty fun action, or I thought that was an interesting direction. There are just some like choices to it that feel very similar to Mandalorian, like the reluctant hero having to like kind of take this younger child around, which is I think definitely a choice. um and then I think there's also just like some of the CGI or like digital animation left me wanting a little bit more. But
Mm.
overall, I thought it was serviceable. How did you feel about the premiere of Halo?
Yeah, I agree. I honestly agree. I am a big Halo fan, beating all the games. Liking Halo Infinite so far. I think it's a good foundation for the future. Campaign's awesome. Halo fan. This, of course, is a non-canon Halo adaptation, which is a great choice, given that there's a lot of Halo novels in the games. Of course, makes sense to just let them have an open book and do something. And thus, because it's non-canon, I don't mind that they're going to change some things. Uh, look no further than we see Master Chief's face at the end of the pilot episode. We see Paulo Schreiber there. You've never seen Master Chief's face in any of the games. Bit of a change, right? But I really don't care. Like, uh, do something different than the Mandalorian and actually show your hero's face, let your actor act. I really don't mind. Um, but yeah, I think like you said, it's solid. I don't know if there's enough there for non-Halo fans to latch onto because the solidness of it all means that it doesn't necessarily differentiate itself from a lot of these other sci-fi series. And I think it's more about my familiarity with the lore, the Spartans, the covenants, the specific designs, the sounds. Like that is what interests me because I'm already familiar with it. If you don't have a connection to that stuff, I don't know if Halo can really do it for you. And some diehard fans probably have said they're not liking it either. So this show might kind of have a issue with not pleasing either side. For me, I think it's a solid start. I actually thought the action in the beginning was pretty good. That first big fight scene. CGI is a little up and down. It's definitely not like the budget level of say like a Disney Plus,
Yeah.
franchise series, for example. But for a video game adaptation, I thought it was honestly pretty solid. And I think a big piece of this too is Halo, not exactly like the best video game story anyway. Master Chief is really not a character. He is a cipher. He is a cool piece of armor. He is an avatar for the player of the game.
Yeah.
So if they can add any spice to the story, which truly is kind of your by your numbers sci-fi tale, I think it's a win.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that's a good point. Um in thinking about like some of the choices that left me a little bit like I'm not sure if that totally worked, but I didn't hate it. A lot of the like a lot of times in the initial like fight scene between the Master Chief, the Spartans, and what were the aliens?
The Covenant, yeah, those were a
Covenant,
lot of
yes.
elites we saw there.
Um, there were moments where they would go like into the helmet of the Spartans, and
Yeah,
it was almost like you
first
were playing a
person
video
shooter.
game. And I was like, oh, they're actually trying to like call back to the video game in this moment, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And I
You,
guess like you're trying to keep that DNA, but
yeah, you heard the shield regeneration sound at that time as well, right from the game.
yeah. But then you also see them like doing stuff that obviously you just could never do in the game, like the like picking up a like long pole and stabbing it through a covenant's
Right.
person's like stomach and stuff like that. I was like, okay, well, I guess we're not totally going the video game route. No, but I thought it was like interesting. I mean, in some sense, doesn't this feel a little bit like the story of like the most recent Bad Batch season a little bit, like
Oh,
like the
yeah.
kid with
Plot wise, yeah.
the like robotic or engineered super soldier who chooses to like go against whatever he's told. I don't know. Felt very similar to me in that
Yeah.
sense. I also just don't know if the stuff with uh like the political stuff.
Yeah. The
I didn't know if that
UNSC
was
stuff. Yeah.
I didn't know if that was like fleshed out in a way that really made sense. I was just kind of like scratching my head a lot with that, but I'm sure we'll get a little bit more
Yeah.
as the season goes on.
This is a good point. Yeah. You see Dr. Halsey, you see Keys, like they're known characters. They definitely need the UNSC side of the conflict to land. Notably, we see them on Reach, so we haven't seen the fall of Reach, the big, catastrophic defeat of which you see in the game Halo Reach. Like, there's potential for sure. We also notably have not seen Cortana yet. Of course, Chief's AI. I think the Cortana performance and the relationship between Cortana and Chief that needs to be nailed to communicate your story because like I said otherwise there's just not a lot of story there. So, yeah, I think ultimately a lot of this stuff kind of like it's wait and see in terms of how it pans out, but in terms of just kind of like bringing the Halo world to live action, I think they did a pretty solid job. I would love the budget to get up for season 2 just so we can punch it up, make it look great. Because in a sense, you can do a lot with the new that second season because you have an open book and Chief. There's not a whole lot of stuff like you don't have a lot of like guardrails with making a Halo series, in my opinion. So I'd love to see them really go for it in that season 2. So hopefully season 1 is enough to make people stick around.
Yeah, I think I definitely want to check out another episode or two and see if it picks up a bit. But up and down in the premiere, but did enough I think to warrant more watches. So
Yeah.
check out Halo if you have Paramount Plus or can find it other ways. Any last thoughts?
It's kind of interesting to think about what Paramount Plus is doing right now. Obviously, banger franchise edition now with Halo
Yeah.
joining their blowout of Star Trek, their blowout of the Taylor Sheridan verse with Yellowstone and all those spin-offs. And we know new Avatar: Last Airbender will be coming as well. So Paramount Plus slowly kind of picking up puzzle pieces here.
Yeah, I agree. Looking forward to the offer. So we talk about that when it comes out.